Hello everyone. I want to present one of the many benefits of APSCCS. There is rarely an application or system that doesn't have a limit in the size of files that can be launched or processed. The APSCCS interface can make any application or system to efficiently handle files of unlimited size. This can happen through allowing access to data chunks at any position of a file, regardless of size. I will now give a short demo with text and image files. I will begin by launching some text files in Notepad and comparing this to a program that uses APSCCS. Let us begin with this 500 megabyte file. I'm going to launch it in Notepad, the default application for text files. Double click. Notice the time it takes to launch the 500 megabyte file in Notepad. See, it takes some time to launch that. Now I wrote a program. I'm going to close this file. I wrote a program, integrated the AppSec interface with a short C# UI I wrote using Avalonia framework. I will now open the same file, the 500 megabyte file, through the UI integrated with the AppSec interface. So let's first of all launch that UI that uses AppSec. This is the UI, and then I'm going to select the same file. This is the 500 megabyte file. Then notice the time difference it takes to launch. See, there's a significant time difference in launching. That is because it selects the files. I set it to select 3 chunks at a time and to display 3 chunks at a time. This is what AppSec can do. Allows any program or system to select chunks at any position of a file, regardless of size. So for this particular program, I said select 3 at a time. When I scroll to the bottom, then select the next 3 and display them. So as I scroll to the bottom, select the next 3. So that's what it's doing. So now I'm going to close this program and then go to another file, a larger file. This 2 gigabyte file here, I'm going to try to launch in Notepad. Double click. Notepad cannot launch the 2 gigabyte file. So, as you see, Notepad, the file is too large for Notepad. Use another editor. Okay, so I close the file in Notepad. And by the way, let me use Notepad++ to launch the file, just for the sake of observing the difference. So I'm going to launch the same 2 gigabyte file in Notepad++. And you should see the message that shows, this is the message. Opening a huge file of 2 gigabyte plus could take several minutes. Do you want to open it? This is Notepad++. Yes, and although it's in another screen, it is not launched yet. It takes some time to launch. And now it is launched. It has launched this file in Notepad. In fact, let me try it once more. Let me try it once more with this screen here. Let me close it. And then let me go ahead and launch it again in Notepad++. See the message that comes up? Yes, I will open it and wait for it to launch. It takes a while to launch. Okay, so now I'm going to close that file in Notepad++. Let me take this screen back here because so we can be free on this side. Now I'm going to launch the same 2 gigabyte file using the C# UI I wrote that uses the AppSec interface, the one that I showed earlier. I'm going to launch that again. Open the 2 GB file. That is this file, 2 GB. Open it, and you see the same amount of time because it's pulling the same amount of chunks from that file. So, and it's doing the same thing. I set it to launch 3 at a time, to pull 3 chunks at a time consecutively. You know, you can, the APSCCS interface allows any chunk at any position to be pulled. So it's great flexibility. So that's the 2 GB file. Now, let me get out of this and going to show you a demo with images. This time I'm going to launch images. Let me get to an image file. Let's see. Yeah, this image file here. I'm going to first of all start with this 100 megabyte image file. Now, the way that I have this images, as you notice, it says merge as a suffix because I merged multiple distinct images. I merged them. So that means each one will have a header and a distinct header. I merged images until they grew to 100 megabytes. In this particular case, let me open it with the default application, which is Microsoft Photo. Double click, and you can see now it's a set of merged images. However, it's only launching the first image. That is because most applications that deal with images can only process the first header that they come across. I'll tell you what, first let me launch this with another application. Paint. Let me launch it with Paint. As you can see, Paint also launches only the first image. It'll be clear what I mean by the first image when I take the next step. You can see we can only see only the first image. Paint. Now, I'm going to launch this same image with the application that I showed earlier, the one that's integrated with APSCCS. I'm going to select the same 100 megabyte file, this one here, select it. As you can see, it is not just one image. Let me make that clear. See, this is the similar first image shown in the other applications. I still have Paint open in the background. But with this, you can see other images. The merged images are clear. They're clearly seen. There are multiple merged images, but the other applications cannot show them because each one has its own header, and those image applications are only processing the first header. So that is the first problem that I want to show. Now the second, that's a 100 megabyte file. I'm going to try to launch another image file. Now this time, I'm going to launch the this time I'm going to launch the this image file, the larger image file. It's 4 gigabytes. I'm going to first of all launch it with the default application, the Microsoft Photo. Microsoft Photo is trying to launch the image, 4 gigabytes. It cannot launch the image. It gives this message An error occurred, but this is the same message that it will give for a file that's too large. It shows the message as observing the file to be corrupted, but it's because it's too large. So I'm going to do the same thing, try to launch it with Paint. And Paint gives a clear message that, hey, it cannot read this file. Similar message to the other application, but the reason is because the file is too large, 4 gigabytes. So they have limits. Now, I'm going to use this previous application, the one that uses APSCCS, the APSCCS interface, the UI that uses the APSCCS interface. I'm going to launch the 4 gigabyte file. Select this 4 gigabyte file and open. And just like before, you see all the images as before, the combined images. You see everything, even though it's 4 gigabytes, it's pulling chunks from the specified positions. So it can pull any chunk from any part of a file and display it. So that is what's happening here with these 3 cases. So what does this mean? We can conclude from what we've seen that APSCCS can make any application exceed current file size limits for processing or launching to the screen with optimal performance. So all applications that currently have size limits for displaying any file or for processing any file will benefit from the feature that APSCCS provides to allow data chunks to be retrieved. And this is just one of the many benefits of APSCCS. That is all I want to talk about for now. Thank you.